Blessings and peace to you. This is SB Favor Thinking Podcast, and my name is SB Favor. How are you doing today? It is Thursday, October 26, 2023. Another wonderful day and another day to be thankful. And as I always say, if you focus on what is good, then you can project something good to happen when you focus on what is good. If you focus on the negative things, ask yourself the question. Are there any benefits in focusing on the negative things? Ask yourself the question. No, there are no benefits. So focus on the positive things. Focus on what is good. If you are out there traveling about today, this morning, this afternoon, this evening, please keep yourself safe and keep your family members safe. Do not be distracted by being on your phone. Don't do that. Focus on what you need to do to keep yourself safe. Make sure you say a prayer and be kind to people. It's important to be kind to people. Why? Because don't you want someone to be kind to you? Yes, you do. So be kind to others and make sure you keep yourself safe and keep your family members safe by using that hand sanitizer. And in some situations, if you feel that you need to wear a mask, do that too. But keep yourself safe. I always remind you of these things because I care. So do your part. Stay safe. If you would like to give to the podcast, you can give at Cash App, $SB Favor, or you can give at Venmo at SB Favor. Once again, if you would like to give to the podcast, you can give at Cash App, $SB Favor, or you can give at Venmo at SB Favor. And that is the at symbol with the name SB FAVOR. SB Favor. Thank you so much for your support and your donations. Well, my inspirational quote for today is focus more on the hope that is in God and not the news and the negative reports of this world. Focus on the hope and the power that is in God and not the news or the negative reports of this world. Yes. The reason why I say that is because if we attend to listening to what's going on with the economy and the interest rates and the unemployment rates and the news overseas and war here and war there, I'm not saying you shouldn't be informed. It is important to be informed. It is important and wise to be informed about what's going on, but don't let it be your focus to the point where you are now reacting to the news and projecting negative energy or negative situations into your life. Yes, don't do that. Because when you listen to the news constantly, it's like a negative cycle of information and stuff going on. And most of it is negative. Most of it is not good news. If you listen to any network, if you listen to it for more than 5 minutes, it's not good news. Most news networks, it is not anything good that they are constantly talking about. They're constantly talking about, oh, well, the interest rates is going up and the unemployment rate is doing this. And overseas, they don't have money for that. And it's a war starting over there and it's a war starting over here. Like I said, I'm not saying you shouldn't be informed. Yes, you should be informed. But if you are one of those people, you enjoy listening or watching the news, there's nothing wrong with that. But you have to be careful because when you are taking in information that is not positive, or when you are taking in information that is on a downward spiral, you have to make sure you filter it with knowing that you still have hope in God no matter what happens. You have to constantly remind yourself that no matter what happens in this world, no matter what happens when it comes to the housing market, the stock market, no matter what happens, you have to remind yourself that you still have hope in God. And when I say that, I'm not saying it from a religious point of view, because sometimes people get it twisted. When you talk about God, the first thing they say, oh, there's that religiosity. No, God is hope. God is the person that we need in this hour. He is the only one that can give us peace, because your money in the bank can't give you peace. It can't buy peace, because there are some people that have money in the bank and they don't have peace. They don't have any peace in their life. They don't have peace in their relationships. They don't have peace in their home. So what I'm saying to you is, God is the only one that can give us peace. And when I say God, I'm talking about the one that gives you peace, because I know that people believe different things. I understand that. And I'm not one to disrespect or condemn anyone because they don't believe in Jesus or they don't believe certain things about God. I am not the one to condemn anyone. But what I'm saying is, if you are under the umbrella of love, because God is love, if you are under that umbrella, then what I'm saying to you is this: that God of love is the one that is able to give us peace. He is the one that is able to give us hope when all goes wrong. So don't allow yourself to be saturated with the news reports and what's going on, and allowing the news report to dictate to you what you can buy and what you can't buy, and what you can do and what you can't do, and where you can travel and where you can't travel. We have to have faith over fear. We have to practice faith over fear, because for those of us that believe that way, we're all on a faith journey. So don't allow yourself to become saturated and submerged in the news, because if you listen to the news long enough, it will literally make you sad. If you listen and watch the news long enough, you will start thinking about your future and worrying about, well, what am I going to do about this? And if they're going to take away the 401k and Social Security, and what am I going to do? And that's what the news does. The news does not give us hope. The news, the daily news, whether it's a newspaper, internet news, or network news or whatever, it doesn't give us hope. It gives us something to think about and worry. and I'm laughing about it because it's real. That's true. You don't want to listen to something that's going to make you doubt or fearful. You want to keep yourself lifted. So this is why I am talking about this. You want to keep yourself lifted. Lifted in spirit. Lifted in your heart. Lifted in an inspirational way. Lifted to be encouraged. Lifted to be motivated. Lifted to have a good spirit about yourself, to the point where no matter what goes on, you know how to pray and keep it moving. I also want to mention that before I go forward to say anything else, I want to just send my prayers and my condolences to the people of Maine, because there was another incident there. And I don't want to go all into the details of it all, but something happened there and a lot of people were injured. And I just want to send my condolences and my prayers to the people of Maine. And once again, I just want people to remember that there is hope in God. There is hope in God. No matter what happens, we can look up. We can stay optimistic. We can think and choose what is better. We can focus on what is better. We can make our life better, no matter what's going on. We have to stay on a path of hope, because when we do that, it just makes us better. So that is my inspirational quote. I woke up this morning and I started thinking about how the news, it influences people to worry. It influences people to be concerned about their future and to be concerned about their children's future. I'm not saying that we shouldn't plan or we shouldn't, like I said, we shouldn't be informed. Yes, we should be informed, but don't take information in and then be influenced by it to the point where you forget about God. Because God is sovereign. And no, we don't understand everything that happens and why it happens. But God is real. And God is sovereign. And because he is real and because he is sovereign, we must keep hope and continue to believe that prayer does make the difference. You know, I joke around and I smile and I say things in a context of having humor about certain things, because sometimes when it comes to talking about certain topics, I would rather smile than to be sad. I have to find the joy in things. So this topic I'm talking about, it's serious. It's serious. But on the other hand, we still have to smile. We have to continue to pursue peace. Pursue it. Pursue peace by praying. Pursue peace by making sure that you are maintaining the right thoughts in your mind. Pursue peace by maintaining peace in relationships. Because that peace that we pursue, which is God, is needful in this hour, because there are so many negative reports coming across the airwaves. So I'm talking about this to remind you of how you should think. I'm talking about this to remind you of what to do when you hear a negative report. This is a reminder to be inspired, a reminder to be encouraged. And I know it might be somebody out there saying, SB, how you going to tell somebody to be inspired and people are getting killed and people are going through and people are losing their houses and things like that? Well, I say to that person this: in the midst of all uncomfortable and tragic situations, we still have to look up. We still have to have hope. We still have to remember that God is real. No matter what happens, we have to remember that. In the midst of storms and hurricanes and tornadoes that have taken place throughout the United States, I've heard people on the news many times say, I lost everything, but I know that God is still with me. And when I heard people say that, it just brought a smile to my face. So I'm saying all of what I'm saying because I want people to be reminded. I want you all to be reminded that when you hear a negative report, find the good in something. When you hear a negative report, make sure you still focus on the positive. Focus on the blessing. Focus on the thing that you can find gratitude in. You know, I when I go through things in my life, you know, it's easy to focus on the problem, but I find a way to just tell myself everything's going to be all right. Everything's going to be all right. Everything's going to be all right. This happened, but everything's going to be all right. That's my way of looking up. That's my way of looking ahead and looking forward and anticipating that there is and will be a change. We have to have an attitude of resilience in the midst of bad reports. We have to have that. And it is a choice that we make in that moment to understand that, okay, when something happens, we still got to keep living. When something happens, we still have to continue to press forward. So when you hear these bad reports on the news and when you hear bad reports, make sure you tell yourself, okay, this is not good, but I got to keep moving. This is not good, but I got to keep my faith and my hope in God. When I was listening to the news one day a couple of weeks ago, and they were just talking about, oh, it's just not a good time to buy a house, and for some people that want to buy a house, they're never going to be able to buy a house. That's what I heard on the news one morning. I was listening to the news. And I said, listen to that. They just spoke words to still the hope and the dreams that somebody could be having in that moment. Oh, I don't know how people are going to buy a house, but the interest rate is not going to allow people to buy a house. They just won't ever be able to live their dreams. It's horrible. That's a horrible report. So what I'm saying to you is this. Make sure that in the midst of situations and circumstances, even if it's not happening in your life personally, when you see it happening to others, pray for them. Make sure that you keep an optimistic attitude. Make sure that you have a resilient spirit to look ahead and do all that you need to do, not to be influenced by a negative report. Sometimes when something happens in the midst of it, you just got to talk to yourself in that moment quickly. You just got to tell yourself everything's going to be all right. Everything's going to be all right. Even when it doesn't feel good, you got to tell yourself everything's going to be all right. All things are working out for me. So I hope that what I am saying brings light to you in some area of your life. I hope that I gave you something to think about, because that is my intention. In this hour, there is a lot going on, and I am talking about all of this not to focus on the news and how bad it is, but I'm saying all of this to say not to be influenced by it. Not to be influenced by the news to worry or to doubt or to be fearful. We have to operate in faith over fear. No matter what happens, we have to look up to God because He is sovereign. So that concludes my inspirational quote. I thank you so much for tuning in to SB Favorite Thinking Podcast. Make sure you share this podcast with others. I thank you to those that constantly support the podcast and those that constantly share the podcast, those that constantly just always listen. I thank you. I appreciate you. So make sure you give to the podcast. And if you would like to give at Cash App $SB Favor or at Venmo at SB Favor. Once again, I thank you so much for your support and your donations. If you would like to reach me, you can reach me at sbfavor@yahoo.com via email. You can also find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and X. I also have a YouTube channel. Please click like, share this podcast with others. Leave me some feedback. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and make sure you subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, because I am on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Castbox. I'm all over. So look for me wherever you need to find me on Google, of course. And once again, share the podcast with others. And make sure you stay encouraged, stay inspired, and focus on what is good. Thank you so much for listening, and you have a good day.